What's up, and welcome to another episode, Master Moats Film Session. And today, I'm going to be talking about the differences of cover four in terms of how the Pittsburgh Steelers play it versus some of the way that other teams play it, man, and just talk about the pros and cons with that. That's what happens during the offseason, right? We got to deep dive a little bit into this thing because obviously we know we're going to have a new defensive coordinator and we're going to need to know the differences in these type of schemes just in case. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to play this play in full speed, and then after that, I will break it down. Always fun we get to do these, off-season videos, a little bit more of a teaching element to that, whereas during the regular season, and we're reacting to these plays, more so of a highlight or a low light. But in this particular sense right here, we're going to highlight and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of cover four as the Pittsburgh Steelers have played it traditionally. Now, basic cover four principles, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys responsible, for a deep quarter portion of the field. Field split into 4 quarters, hence the word cover four, From there, typically the way it is run under our normal situation is just your 2 safeties and your 2 corners. In terms of the alignment and stuff like that, you're looking for these guys to be anywhere between numbers to hash. You're looking for these corners to be numbers to sideline, right? So forth and so forth. Underneath, though, this is where it gets a little different. In Pittsburgh, when we play cover four, we match routes, So I believe right here, play it a little bit further, but should be, I know him, he's on there. Devin and Schobert are working together, and I believe over here, this is Moats. It looks like he's matched up on number 2 to the weak side, So responsibilities. Front side, he's off of 2. He is off of 3. This guy over here is off of 2, So that's the basic principles in terms of how all of these things work. So these deep 4 guys, like I said, they have a quarter of the field vertical carry. Your underneath guys, they're all working together. 2 and 3 can work together, or 2 and 3 can work together to the front side, just depending on what the route combinations are, So as we continue on with the play, some of the benefits of the cover four and the way the Steelers play. We match routes here versus spot dropping. Now we're going to highlight matching right here. So when you match routes, I want us to look at Joe Schobert and Devin Bush. Those are our 2 inside linebackers on this play, So him and him are who we're watching, And the reason why I want you to watch them is because they are the biggest indicators when you're talking the difference of spot dropping versus matching routes, even though they are both cover four, When you match routes, when we highlighted 2 and 3 and we said you could work together, right? 2 and 3. And we got 2 and 3 in terms of Devin Bush and Joe Schobert. With these 2 guys stepping to the same direction, these 2 guys have to work together now, So the way it works is this. It works like this. Schobert, he's going to be the outside of 2 and 3, And you want Devin Bush on the inside of 2 and 3. That's how those 2 guys work together in terms of matching the routes. So as this guy goes to the flat, Schobert should take that. He'll buy him. That's his guy. Then that automatically makes Devin buy this tight end right here, Now, on the flip side, right, because remember I said it was a 2 to the weak side with Moats, right here, he understands that now he's by himself, in the sense of with 3 stepping away, this running back right here stepping away from him, that puts him by himself, no help, because you can't pass or work together with this guy because your backs are to each other. You don't know the information he's trying to give you and vice versa. So that's why you have to lock it up on the backside. Now, the thing with cover four, with all of these underneath defenders, Moats, Devin Bush, and Schobert, none of these guys have vertical responsibility or vertical carry. Meaning, if he ran completely down the field, Devin is going to carry him to about 10 to 12 yards, and then he's going to teeter off and he's going to settle and get his eyes back on the quarterback because you got the safety back here as your quarter defender, right? Same with this guy right here. Now, if he wills up like I just drew, that's a little bit different because you got different rules for will routes. But in the sense of if he was just running vertical on the outside, Schobert would take him about 10 to 12, and then he's going to stop because you still have Joe Hayden, who's a deep 4th defender as well, So when we're talking about the pros of matching routes, I mean, it looks great because you're instantly forcing the action, right? You're not allowing these guys to get easier throws to the flat as you might get if these guys are spot dropping. Problem is what? You start to have everybody in man-to-man coverage. So even though it's a zone concept in the theory of it being cover 4, so you having multiple guys with vertical carry, the issue is your underneath defenders get put into one-on-one situations and scenarios where now you can get linebackers on wide receivers. You can get athletic tight ends on linebackers, things like that. So that's some of the things you got to worry about as it pertains to the coverage element when you're matching these routes like the Steelers typically like to do versus spot dropping. Like I said, for me, I'm used to matching routes, so I like the pros with that. I think, when you're able to not allow these easier throws, these easier outbreaking routes underneath stuff, when you force that QB to have to hold the ball or have to throw it into tight coverage, I think that's a little bit better, a little bit more beneficial, but you have to be careful with it, especially against a mobile quarterback, because as we've talked about, right? When you're playing against a mobile guy, you can't play cover 1, right? Because when you turn your back, a guy can take off. So by matching these routes in cover 4, what does this do? Eyes over here, eyes over here, eyes over here. And you see, we do have a void. Now, Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career, he's not trying to take off. But if this was a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen, even a Patrick Mahomes, we've seen in the postseason, they can take off and eat up that type of yardage right there. So those are some of the things you have to concern yourself with. Even though it's cover 4, when you start matching routes, you lose the zone integrity of it. So it's a pro in the sense of tighter coverage. It's a con in the sense of you don't have eyes on the quarterback, and you're going to get some man-to-man matches that could be less advantageous. All right, so that is how we talk about the cover 4 principles in Pittsburgh in terms of matching routes. But now we got to also talk about the spot drop element. All right, so when we're talking about this play right here, the spot drop element of it, this is, the difference. All right, so we'll play at full speed. After that, we'll break it down. And don't y'all judge this Buffalo tape, all right? They like to run spot drops. That's what they do. So I was going, I couldn't wait to have an opportunity to drop a little Bills tape on y'all. Here we go. All right. So with that being said, baby, when you're talking about the difference of philosophies, the Bills defense under Leslie Frazier is very different. Obviously, they're more of a 4-3 front, where in Pittsburgh it's more 3-4 predominantly. But when it becomes sub package ball or nickel package ball, it is all the same. Okay, so that's the biggest reason why you see the carryover in terms of the coverages and stuff like that, right? But basic principles when it comes to the spot drop element of cover 4. Okay, same concept for the corners, same concept for the safeties. Okay, you got 4 guys that are going to have vertical carry. All right, 2 corners, 2 safeties. Now, Buffalo, they're playing it a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage because they don't respect the quarterback as much in this particular matchup. Whereas when we were showing that previous clip, the Steelers were going against Aaron Rodgers. It's a lot more of a, threat of the bomb, the deep pass and things like that, and the accuracy with Aaron Rodgers. So those guys reflected that with their depth. But these Bills safeties, all pros, both of them, they're not necessarily concerned with, this Jets quarterback really being able to hurt them with their arm right now. So that part still stays the same. This is the part where it gets different though, okay? When we're talking about our underneath defenders, okay? You're going to have 4 deep, but you got 3 underneath, okay? So this guy right here, okay, that I just put the square on, he's going to relate to 3, okay? Or he's your middle third guy. He's just wherever 3 goes, he's middle of the field, but he's shuffling that direction, eyes on the quarterback. Right here, he's going to relate to 2, okay? But they're all still zone droppers, okay? Zone droppers. So as we continue to play this thing a little bit further, all right, right now we got a 2x2 set. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2 in terms of eligible receivers. But we know the back is offset to the weak side of the formation. All right, just talking passing strength here. Passing strength is always 2 wide receivers or 2 eligible receivers over a wide receiver and a tight end, okay? So that's that part of it right there. So with that being a balanced set, the drops should look very balanced as well. So what do we have? Boom, 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 okay? Now, the corners are a little bit slow getting out of there, and they don't have to be in a hurry. Same with the safeties. The safeties, since they are already, you know, deep, but they also have run responsibility, they're going to be flat-footed. They're not pedaling, getting out of there fast. They're not getting a lot of width either, like you would see with cover 2, okay? So that's that. But now underneath, what do we say, right? That's his area. That's his area. That's his area. Very different than what we just showed with Pittsburgh, right? In Pittsburgh, these guys weren't sitting back and having space. They were what? Matching routes. So they were eating up that space, going to close the air out of it. Right here is different because all of these guys are sitting in an area, but they all have vision on the quarterback, all right? That is the biggest difference when you're talking spot dropping versus matching routes, okay? When you match these routes, this guy will be bought. This guy, his eyes will be right here. He will be having him. This guy, he's not sitting here anymore. He's going to be closing this area to either match this route or to match this route, okay? Because that's how you would have to close that space up to make those routes look the way they're supposed to look. But the thing that I do like about this is when you have the 3 underneath guys with vision, now it effectively takes away any crossing routes, right? Okay, it will effectively eliminate this guy trying to scramble. Okay, that's another thing that you get with that. All right, another thing that you're gonna get is anything that's going to the flats. Okay, anything going to the flats. Granted, you know it's gonna be soft. That's the weakness of cover 4 because remember this corner is getting out of there. All right, but because you got vision, this guy's gonna be able to get width. This guy's gonna be able to see that pass being thrown and break on time, and it's gonna eat that up. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, Moats, it seems like a whole bunch of positive to spot dropping. It is in the sense that you don't have to match these routes, so you don't have to worry about if your linebacker can necessarily run with a slot receiver or a very athletic tight end. Sure. You might be also saying, man, dude, you get vision on the quarterback. You eliminate the scramble. Absolutely you do. Man, if they jump it off, if they throw it to this running back out the backfield, well, hey, you could eat that space up and get a tackle right there. We're good. So it's not a lot of negative, right? The thing that I don't like, though, in terms of when you spot drop is, as this play progresses, you will see there is a natural void that takes place. Now, we saw it on the other one, but the difference is when you're matching those routes, the void is more so predicated on the quarterback running, okay? Not necessarily a wide receiver just having nobody guarding him. Because this is very defined in terms of their zone, right? Him right here, him right here, him right here, him right here. We got all of this space that's open because that's deep quarter, deep quarter, deep quarter, and here's your other deep quarter guy. So it's a natural void right here in the middle of the field in terms of behind the linebackers, but shallower than the safeties. Those are some of the issues in terms of zone dropping. You're going to have natural holes. They're going to be able to find this if you have time. That's the part for me that I'm not necessarily a fan of because I feel like it bells these quarterbacks and these receivers out when he can just come here and sit down in a soft spot of the zone and they just play throw and catch. Whereas if they're matching these routes and this guy is squeezing that down, kind of like how Trey White is over here, it's way more difficult of a throw. And that's the part that I personally like about the matching versus spot dropping. But I do think both can be very successful. You just got to know when to utilize them. If I don't feel like I have athletic linebackers who can cover really well, and I don't want to put them in matched up situations, I love spot drop. But if I feel like I have athletic linebackers who can fly around, I want to challenge these wide receivers and running backs and tight ends. And if I think I have the personnel to do so, for me, I'm going to call it and match those routes so we can definitely not allow easier throws. So that's kind of my thought process with it. But let me know your thought process, man, as we just talked about these two differences in cover 4. Are you more of a spot dropper or are you more of a match the routes? And also let me know, just your thoughts on the video as a whole. But either way, I appreciate you. And if you like the video, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, baby, peace.